How can you become a conversation god? Hello and welcome to the ultimate guide to becoming a conversational god. And if you don't already know me, my name is Mohit Jagwani. I am an entrepreneur, life coach, and I am one of India's top speakers. And my goal with this channel is to help you build a better life in which you feel super powerful and super confident. So if that sounds interesting to you, hit the subscribe button. And without further ado, let's get started. Now, the first thing you need to understand before you even try to jump in any conversation is you need to understand the things you need to do before a conversation. For example, even before you start speaking, people are observing how you appear. So that is the first step. Before going to any event, before just jumping into any conversation, think about how are you appearing. Are you presentable right now? Whatever the occasion is. Do you look appropriate? Do you look refined? Do you look like someone they would want to talk to? That is the most important thing. And people a lot of the times underestimate this so much because here's the thing, right? The way you present yourself, the way you appear, indicates and tells so much about who you are. The way you appear says so much about your economic background, your personality, the way you think. For example, people that are generally hardworking, they generally prefer wearing shorts. People that like authority, they generally like wearing things that have collars around them. And the way, the kind of prints you use, the colors you wear say so much about the kind of person you are, and they create an image about you in the other person's mind. And that is why it is crucial for you to understand how you can make yourself appear as presentable, as polished, as refined as possible, specifically for that event, so that you can appear like someone that is interesting, that people would want to talk to. That is the first step. Step number 2. Now, before you jump into any conversation, now let's say you know that there is a person that is at a very high level. They are a CEO, CXO, or now this is in terms of professional life, but let's say in terms of personal life as well. There is a woman or a guy, right? And let's say you want to talk to them, correct? Now, if you have this perception in your mind that, oh, you know what, he's a CEO, he's the founder, he's the owner of the company, and you've put them on a pedestal already, you've already put them on a pedestal. Guess what? If they are on a pedestal, you are under the pedestal and you are under them. And naturally, with this thing in your mind, you will be under them and you will, in a way, try to please them. So do not do that. No matter who it is, if you put them on a pedestal, you will, in a way, try to please them. And here's the thing, right? Sure, people might like it and people feel good when someone pleases them, but they do not respect the person that is pleasing them all the time. In fact, more often than not, they take them for granted and they are run over. So don't be a pleaser. Okay? Understand that, okay, even though this person might be so good at this, or he might be a CEO, celebrity, or a beautiful or handsome person, do not put them on a pedestal. Just think that, okay, you might have something good to offer as well. There are some things that you are really good at as well. What are those things? Think about those things and remember that they might not be as good at those things as you, and have that inside of you. And with that in mind, talk to them with an open mind without putting them on a pedestal, and just keep them on the same level as you. And when you do that, and when you treat them as an equal, they will respect you. Otherwise, they are just going to run all over you. Correct? So step 1, dress up, be presentable. Step 2, do not put them on a pedestal before the conversation even starts. Go in the conversation with an open mind, with a level head, that, okay, this is someone that's not better than me. Sure, he might have more accolades than me in some way or the other, but ultimately, we are all equal as souls. You can die from a bullet, they can die from a bullet. Okay? Something can hurt them, something can hurt you. That same thing. They are not better than you. Remember that. Sure, they might have done more. Respect them most definitely, but don't put them on a pedestal. Okay. Step number 3, whenever you are starting out, make them feel comfortable if they are not already comfortable. For example, they are alone, okay, and you want to approach them and talk to them. Then, in that scenario, approach them in a way that they feel comfortable. For example, now let's break it down how you can make them feel comfortable when you are starting to approach them. First and foremost, let's say they are standing, just having something and having a drink, let's say. Okay, which by the way is the best time to approach someone if they're having a drink. When they're having, let's say, something to eat, then eating, talking, that's a little bit of a mess sometimes. So now again, if you get the opportunity to, please do. It's not like you cannot do that. People a lot of the times eat together and talk while eating as well. Now, not when they have food in their mouth and they speak while the other person is chewing, and when the other person is done chewing, they start chewing and they listen. Okay, so generally that is what that happens. And moving on, but the best time to talk to them is when they are having a drink. Okay, and if you want to talk to them, just go and approach from the side. That is something that is going to make them feel relatively more comfortable, because when you are in a way just opposite to them, you are confronting them. And for example, what happens is that, let's say it's a female, and you go and just approach them head on. Now what you did is that, sure, this is confrontational, but apart from that, you blocked their exit. Whatever side they wanted to move to, now they cannot. It's going to be is they'll have to turn around and then move. And they'll know that, okay, this is something that's there subconsciously. But when you are on the side, their exit is open and they can move in whichever direction they want to. And if you, let's say, make them feel comfortable and after that they want to talk to you, they themselves will turn their body towards you. Okay, this is something that we do subconsciously. Even you can observe this even when you are at a networking event. If there is a person that is talking to a couple of people, and there's talking to one person, but their body language is positioned in a different direction, then they actually want to talk to the person in most scenarios where their body language is positioned. For example, if I'm over here and I'm talking like this, there's a big chance that I want to talk to someone that's in this direction. So keep that in mind. Okay, approach from the side. And now the way you're supposed to speak, that is really important. You need to understand the tone of your voice. So there are two tones. First is completely approachable, completely friendly tone of voice. The second one is completely authoritative and dominating tone of voice. The first one, completely approachable and comforting voice, is, "Hi, how are you? I'm good, man. How are you? Good to see you." Correct? So, accompanied with a smile, a lot of enthusiasm. And then the second one is authoritative. "Hi, how are you? I'm good. How are you?" Okay. Now, this means business. When someone speaks in this manner, and they speak in this manner in most scenarios, then there's a big chance they are a direct person and they mostly like to talk about business. Okay. And the first person, "Hi, how are you? Oh man, I'm good. So good to see you." They are generally a networker. These are the people that are really good at talking and making other people around them comfortable. Okay, so these are the generally two ranges. Now there's one in the middle. So first one is completely approachable, upward inflecting. "Hi, how are you? I'm good. How are you?" This is ultra energetic. Second is completely authoritative. "Hi, I'm good. How are you?" The third one is the charismatic tone, which is in between of both of these. "Hi, how are you? I'm good, man. How are you?" Now, this is not super energetic, but this is not completely authoritative as well. When you speak in this tone naturally, other people around you, they will generally feel more comfortable. So you can use this tone of voice to make people around you comfortable. Correct? Now, this was the delivery part of comfortable. The next thing you need to understand is After the delivery part, the content part. Basically, sure, this is the tone of voice. What exactly is it that you want to say? So I'll just give you a framework. Now, many a times what happens is that people think that they are supposed to be the one that has to, in the beginning, has to say something really interesting in the beginning. That's not true. You don't have to be super interesting right from the beginning in terms of the words you choose. And by the way, this is also the part wherein your appearance plays a big role. Now, let's say if you look mediocre, then you'll have to put in more effort to say something more interesting in order to grab the same amount of attention in the beginning, by the way, just in the beginning. After that, it neutralizes. Okay? But the beginning is the most important part. So that is why this is important, right? So, but let's say you are dressed up and you are one of the most presentable people in the room. You are beside that person. Guess what? They know you are one of the most presentable people over there. They will want to talk to you. Okay? And you might think, oh, I look ugly, I don't have a good face. Does not matter. I'm brutally honest, especially if you are a man, if you are well dressed, well polished, well groomed, not a good face, just a hairstyle that accompanies and complements your face, and a pair of glasses that suit your face. That's it. Okay, you have this, your face is sorted, you're wearing clothes that suit your body shape, and the color of your clothes suit the color of your skin. That's it. You do that, guess what? You will have people's attention without even speaking. Okay, now obviously it helps tremendously if you are fit, if you are lean, but even if you are not, that does not mean that you cannot look presentable. Okay, so that's another thing. Now, speaking on what to say, just go up to them, and the reason you might be going up to them is maybe you find something interesting. Tell them that, hey, I found this interesting about you. Okay, it's just a small compliment. Don't go too over the top. Just give it in a way that is subtle, and then ask them a subtle question with a good transition. Okay, transition is important. If it's too jagged, it appears unsynchronized, and the other person starts to think, why is this person asking me a question? Okay, so for example, the other day I was at this Starbucks, and I saw this person. She was wearing a quad set, full sleeves, and she was looking very luxuriant, right? Very refined. She was sipping her coffee, and I went up to her. I'm like, hey, I really like your outfit. And she was like, and I just waited for a response. She's like, oh, thank you. I'm like, you're welcome. So by the way, what are you doing? What do you do? I feel like, you are someone that's, let's say, into PR or sales or something like that. So I just wanted to ask, what exactly is it that you do? Now, since you're not asking a personal question, it is a professional question of sorts. It's fine. They are much more likely to entertain that question. Okay, and in my mind, my intention was not that, oh, I want to get her number. No, that was not my intention at all. I wanted to just get to know who this person is. That's it. Okay, and then she said to me, oh, I work in public relations, and it's basically my own business. So I am head of the PR vertical, and I have other people that take care of other verticals. So that is what she shared with me. I was like, oh, wonderful. So I am basically a life coach, and I'm also one of India's top speakers, and I run an image consulting firm as well that help people look more presentable. So, and like yourself, just a small compliment over there. Okay, and she was like, okay, wow, wonderful. Okay, and just the way I was talking to her, I felt like, okay, you know what, TK, I don't feel, I did not feel that, okay, I want to talk to her more, because you can tell by the way she's communicating, she was not as comfortable, she was not that used to being approached. And I generally like to talk to people that are confident already. If I'm talking to a girl and she's not already confident, right, then I would rather go talk to someone else. If she's not already open to talking to me, I would just be like, cool, not a problem, bye. Now, it's not like she was not open, but I knew she was just not used to this. So I was like, wow, okay, wonderful to get to know you. And I exited the conversation. And that was it. Okay. Don't think that you ultimately have to, the purpose of the conversation is to get someone's number. No, that's not the case at all. Approach them, talk to them, and when you are approaching, if you feel, if they're replying in a way that's rude, unappreciative, now there's a difference in rude and uncomfortable. Now uncomfortable does not necessarily mean that they don't want to talk to you. Uncomfortable could also mean that they're just not used to this and this is new for them. That's it. Okay. So if you just observe that they are not comfortable, and not because they don't want to talk to you, but because they don't know what this is about. Okay. And generally what happens, so in that scenario you can actually let them know what this is about, because that is the only thing that's going on inside of their head. Correct. So if you give them a reason that, oh, you know what, I'm sorry, you just no, don't say I'm sorry, you look really good, or I really like your outfit and I just wanted to say hi, what do you do, by the way? Correct. So it's as simple as that, I just wanted to come say hi. And in most scenarios, if you're, let's say, in a metropolitan city, Bombay, Delhi, Bangalore, Ahmedabad, this could work. If you're, let's say, in a second tier city, maybe not as much, maybe you'll have to kind of do something else, but generally this works in a lot of places. Okay. So that is something else you can do as well. Just give them a good compliment and ask them a question, and then build on top of that. Correct. So that was comfort. Now once you have made them feel comfortable, then you need to go in the trenches, and you need to find a way to find common ground. Whatever it is that they like, whatever it is that they like to spend their time on, what are their passions, what is their occupation, what do they do for recreation, who all are there in your family, what are their dreams, all of that. And I'll give you a simple framework. It's called FORD, the Ford method. F stands for friends and family. How do they spend time with their family? Who all are there in their family? What do they like to do with their friends? Okay, that's F. Second is occupation. What do they work? Where do they work? What is their occupation? What is their profession? Why do they work there? Do they like it? Do they don't like it? Correct? So that is their occupation. The third is the R, which is recreation. What do they like to do for fun? What would they like to do for fun alone and with someone else? How do they spend their time when they're not doing anything, when they're not on work, when they're not working? Okay, so that is recreation. And the fourth is D. What are their dreams? Why is it that this is their dream? What inspired them? What inspires them to pursue this? So that, what is the reason this is their dream? So this is something that you can utilize as well. And in a way, you can kind of find common ground using this as well. And whenever they share something, and if they stop sharing, that means it's your time to speak. Okay. And in order to master this and understand this better, understand the four levels of listening. Okay. And listen at the fourth level as much as possible. And when you try and interrupt them a lot, then they will not speak as much. Okay. So there is a right way of listening that makes people, in a way, speak to you and open up more. So there are four levels of listening. The first one is ignoring. You're not listening, they're speaking, and you're just ignoring. Right? How do you feel? I'm not looking at you while I'm talking, I'm ignoring you. Do you like it? Absolutely not. Right? You want me to look at the camera, hopefully. Correct? And the second is pretending to listen. I'm there physically, but I'm not there mentally. I'm not listening to you, I'm just here physically. That's it. Okay. The third thing, the third level is active listening, where you can listen to every word they say and you can recite it back to them as well. Okay, so that is active listening. The fourth level, which is the most important level, is empathetic listening. Now, on this level, whatever they are saying, you feel it as well, and you give emotional nudges as well, giving facial expressions, body language, non-verbal cues indicating that you understand what they feel, not just based on nodding your head, but also based on your expression, your emotions, your hand gestures, everything. Okay, that is the fourth level which is empathetic listening. And when you listen at the fourth level empathetically, they feel much more comfortable in opening up, and they feel as if someone is genuinely listening to them. Correct. So for example, when someone's speaking something and they share something sad, and in that moment I'm like, man, I'm so sorry to hear that. Okay, genuinely have that genuine sorrow in your voice when you respond to that. And then instead of talking more, just ask them, how are you, is everything okay? Correct. Questions are really powerful if you use them in the right manner. Correct. So if you could just ask the right questions in the right manner, using the right tone, while mirroring them, which is, by the way, another thing. So mirroring is basically you, in a way, mirroring their body language. For example, if they fold their hands, you also fold your hands in some way or the other. Now don't mirror 100%, so in a way that they can just tell that yes, you are mirroring them. Don't exactly mimic them, but it should be very relatable. They should feel that, okay, the way their body language is, when you mirror it, they feel relatable. They feel that it's you in a way you are connected. Correct. So try and incorporate mirroring as well while you are conversing. So just mirror and ask a question. Now once they stop asking, or once they stop responding, or when you feel that they don't have a lot more to say, that is when you jump in and contribute to the conversation. That is, now within the conversation, they gave a lot of threads to you. They talked about a lot of things. Just pick any one of those things that you feel that you have something in common, and talk about that. That's it. Correct. When you do that, you share about those kind of things, that whatever they said, that for example, now if someone says, well, in my free time I like to meditate, and I just love meditation. It just brings in so much peace. I'm like, oh, okay, wow, that's wonderful. In fact, man, I am an avid meditator too. And then they'll be like, oh, wow, wonderful. That's good to know. What do do? What sort of meditations do you do? I'll be like, I do guided meditations, and they just make me feel as if I'm very soothed, and I don't. I just have to sit there, listen, have focus on my breath and the voice. That's it. So much peace. I have different sorts of meditations that I do when it comes to guided meditations only. What sort of meditations do you like to do? Correct. So they'll share again. Now after the conversation, the eventually we'll run out of things to talk about, let's say meditation things. Then we move on to the next thing. All right, so man, I understand that this is what you like to do for fun, right? This is your recreation. What is your profession, or what is it that you do for work? Correct. So this was a transition. You signified that, okay, I understood this thing, you ended it, and you transitioned to the next one. Correct. So that is something that you can do. And when you do this, and you do this well, you have proper transitions set in. You mark it as an end, that okay, this, I understood this, you shared with me. What about that? This is a wonderful transition. And you can continuously keep on doing this, continuously, and just focus on finding common ground, and finding something valuable to give to them, all while in a way giving them some sort of knowledge, value, whatever it is that you are an expert of, whatever it is that you are passionate about. Try and talk about that, and appear as if you have, don't appear, actually have a lot of knowledge about it. Correct. And so as a life coach, I have worked with a lot of people, and I have a lot of knowledge about a lot of different things as well. So generally there are only 5 pillars, that not even 5 pillars, let's make it even more simpler. I'll talk about those 5 pillars in some other video. There are only 3 primary areas of life, max to max 4, right, that you should have good knowledge about. And if you have basic, so let's also remember the Pareto rule. There are 20% of things that give you 80% of the output. Similarly, there's 20% of information that you need in order to tackle 80% of the conversations that you are going to undertake. Correct. So just focus on that 20%. And the 20% of this is health, money, relationships, and happiness. That's it. If you have fundamental understanding of how relationships work, or how money works, or how let's say money, relationships, how health functions. Correct? Now, these are areas that are concerned with everyone, happiness as well. Once you understand these things, if someone talks about being sad, guess what? You have information about how they can be happy. If someone feels like, oh, this person did not talk to them in a certain way, or they are kind of talking about the way someone treated them, or their certain relationship is in, let's say, under some sort of stress or tension, guess what? You have some sort of advice on relationships as well. You can share that. They don't have money, guess what? You have advice on money as well. Correct? And this information is relatively easy to acquire. I kid you not. You might think that, oh, it's so much information. No. Sure, you might see all of the books, I keep on reading them, right? But you don't need to read as many books. You can just pick some topics on some people that are already good at money, understand the basic fundamentals of every area, and you're good to go. You can actually have a lot of the conversations with a lot of people when you have this basic fundamental understanding. Okay, now when you share this, correct, so what you did is that you made them feel comfortable. When you found common ground, you gained their trust. Correct? When you shared knowledge, you were able to command respect, because guess what? If you have knowledge, you are competent, and when you are competent, you are respected. Correct? Now, if you have done all of that and you still want to stay connected to them, that is when you can show more interest in their personal life and ask them for a number or a connection or anything. Correct? So that is a 4-step process. You do this well, and I kid you not, you are going to make amazing connections. And in the beginning, it's going to be difficult for you. It is most definitely not going to be easy, because sure, you have this framework, but just because you have this framework does not mean you'll be able to implement it exactly. You'll have to have some trial runs, and you'll make some mistakes. So in a way, level up gradually. Don't directly jump to the boss. Don't directly try and approach a high level C-suite executive person, or a really beautiful girl, or a handsome guy that you have been meaning to talk to, wanting to talk to. Step up gradually. Approach, let's say, try and talk nicely to and get to know, let's say, if you have a servant, or a staff at a restaurant, correct, or a person of the same gender, or a colleague that you haven't talked to. Then level up. After talking to a colleague, talk to a manager of, let's say, another team, not your manager. Obviously, you're comfortable with your manager. We all know that. Okay, talk to some other manager that you haven't interacted with. Talk to them, correct? And then, in terms of friendships, sure, instead of talking to the most beautiful girl, right? I hope you tried with a stranger, or a guy, or a girl, if you are a girl, right? Then level up and talk to someone of the opposite gender, and then the person that you've been meaning to talk to. Correct? So these are the gradual steps that you can take to become a masterful conversationalist, become a conversation god. And by the way, if you are someone that would like to understand how you can become a better speaker and a better communicator, correct, I am running a cohort in which you will understand the fundamentals of public speaking and storytelling. And if you master this skill, it'll unlock doors that you did not know were even there. For example, this is something that is going to help you become an exceptional presenter. Number one, be an exceptional public speaker. This is going to help you tremendously improve your confidence, and also become an exceptionally well in person communicator. Because again, if you can address a crowd, you can address a single person as well. Correct? So check out the description for that. That's it from my end. And if you enjoyed this, hit the like button. Let me know down in the comments below as well, what would you like me to cover next. And apart from that, as always, subscribe, hit the bell icon. I will see you in the next one. Bye bye, take care, cheers.